What is up, everybody? It's Shaquille Almarinas back here with the second video. In the first video, we were talking about who I thought was going to come out of the Western and Eastern Conference and who was ultimately going to capture the championship. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about who I think is going to be the top two teams out of the Western Conference that are going to be able to make it out. We're calling this one the best of the rest, West Edition. Let's go. Alright guys, so in my last video you know that I ended up picking the Lakers to come out of the Western Conference, but if it's not going to be the Lakers, one of the teams that I think is going to be able to make it out is actually going to be the Denver Nuggets. The reason being is because number one, Jokic. I mean, do I even have to say any more about that guy? He was the MVP last year. He's an unstoppable monster on the offensive end. He's a triple-double threat on every single night. He can space the floor. He can go inside. He's got the mid-range. He can shoot free throws. He's good at finishing in the basket. And he's an amazing passer, which is the thing that really opens up his game. I mean, we're not even talking about one of the best passers just for a center. We're talking about one of the best passers that the game has seen. This guy is unstoppable on the offensive end, and so that's why he's just going to push the Nuggets into that category of top tier teams, because in order to win in this league, you have to have a superstar, right? If you have the better superstar, chances are you have a much better chance of actually winning out of a 7-game series. So Jokic is going to be number one on the list for me. And then on top of that, it's not like they're just relying on Jokic, right? I mean, we've got guys who they brought back like Will Barton. He was somebody in my preseason notes who I think is going to be incredible in terms of continuing to help spread the floor out for Jokic, make sure that he doesn't get double teamed, and if he does get double teamed, he's gonna find Barton wide open for a three-point shot, which is exactly what happened last night, and he shot 50% from three-point range, which is insane. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's gonna average 50% for the season, but we just know that he's a great shooter. On top of that, we've got great serviceable big men like JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, and that really helps in terms of their flexibility in their rotations as well. Something that I think is really important to win a championship. Everybody says defense is key to winning championship, and that's true, right? But another thing that's really important is just a team's ability to be flexible in terms of their lineup. Can you go big? Can you go small? Can you work with these different lineups? Because when you get into the playoffs and you're facing one opponent, right, their job is to stop your team, and that's it. And so they'll be able to hone in on teams that can only win one way. And so you need to be able to win in a multitude of different ways and defend a multitude of different teams, because you never know who you're gonna end up running into. And so I think that that is another thing that is really helpful for this Nuggets overall as a team. And I know that a lot of people are gonna be like, hey, well, Shaq, what about Jamal Murray? He's gonna be out for a while. And yes, that's true. That will ultimately kind of hurt them a little bit, because he's gonna have to come back, get ingratiated with the team. He's got to build that chemistry up with everyone, and then on top of that, he's just got to get his legs underneath him, right? I mean, there's a difference between being in shape and being in basketball shape, and so that's gonna take him some time to kind of build up towards. But something that I think is really interesting, and what I believe is going to help uplift them throughout that period, is going to be Michael Porter Jr. This guy is the epitome of efficiency, and I think that's going to be a huge reason why the Nuggets aren't going to be suffering as much with Jamal Murray being out. He just signed a 5-year, $207 million extension. MPJ, if you see this video, I got some student loans, help a brother out. But this guy is for real, and I think that he is really gonna make a leap this season. With Jamal Murray being out, he is going to be stepping into that spotlight of being the second best player on that team behind Jokic. And when Jokic is on the bench, I think that he's going to be able to help take over that offense. And I think that he really has a good shot of being able to consistently do that on a night in and night out basis until Jamal Murray comes back. And I'm not that concerned about having to rush Jamal Murray back into the starting lineup or anything like that either. This quote that I'm about to read you guys comes from the Nuggets president of basketball operations, Tim Connolly. Quote, "He'll come back when he's ready, not when we tell him. Not a date on the calendar." Right? And I think that just speaks volumes to they're not really trying to rush him back. They're going, hey, you know what? We need you to come back at full strength. Take all the time that you need, because we got that guy right there, MPJ, who's basically going to be able to help fill it up. I think that even without Jamal Murray on this team, they're going to end up being a top 4 seed, even without him in the lineup. So overall, the Nuggets I think are going to be a very tough team to be dealing with in the playoffs, and I really don't think that any team really wants to be facing them in the early rounds. And so because of that, I definitely see them being able to make it out again if it's not the Lakers. The next team that I've got up is going to be the Warriors. Shout out to all the Golden State fans. Yeah, go ahead, have your moment. They are going to be my team to come out of the Western Conference if it's not the Lakers. And actually, I even put the Warriors above the Nuggets. And the reason for it is just their overall team, their offense, the way that they're constructed, their coaching. I mean, we take a look at Chef Curry, right? Who had an insane season last year, who was MVP caliber, and he just looked completely unstoppable out there. It was insane the level of play that guy was performing at last season. Nothing needs to be said about him, just like with Jokic. We can move on to the rest of the team. And so we also look at it later down the line now, and probably around December to February, we're looking at Klay Thompson coming back. We think about Steph and Klay, not only are they great individually, but they're greater than the sum of their parts. You put Klay and Steph on the same team, and it's just, they wreak havoc on these defenses because they're constantly running around. They probably run like 3-4 miles every single game. I wouldn't be surprised by that. And you just can't stay still on the defensive end because you have to constantly have your head on a swivel and be looking out for, oh my God, where did Steph go? Where did Klay go? Because if you miss them, even for a second, that is all that it's gonna take for them to pull up and shoot that 3-point shot right in your face. So together, that duo is just absolutely insane. You have to put them at least in the top 4 in the Western Conference with just those two alone. Then we go down the line again and we look at Draymond Green, who is still one of the best defenders that we have in this league today. I mean, I thought he was definitely a Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year. We know what he does for the rest of that team. He brings that toughness and he brings that competitive edge, which the Warriors really need, especially with this very young team. And I hate the Warriors because they're doing such a good job of playing for right now and playing for the future, right? They've got Steph, Klay, and Dre for right now, and in the future, they've got James Wiseman, Juan Toscano-Anderson, they've got Jordan Poole, they just drafted Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Cum Bucket, shout out to the Cum Bucket, man. You got the best nickname in the league already, year 1 into the league. So the Warriors are just gonna be primed. What I did not calculate and take into account in the preseason was 2 things. Number 1 is their offensive efficiency in terms of not actual numbers, but in terms of how well they're able to actually move the ball. I mean, if you guys watched that game against the Lakers opening night, you saw that the Lakers literally could not keep up with them defensively, and that's just because their ball movement was insane. I mean, we're talking championship level ball movement day 1. And it's really just got to be a scary thought in your head that this is day 1 for the Warriors. Just imagine what they're going to look like after 82 games. Their synergy and their chemistry is going to be through the roof, and that is just going to be a really tough thing for teams to deal with. And then the second thing that I also didn't account for with the Warriors is Bielitsa, or however the heck you say that guy's name. That guy was playing insane opening night against the Lakers, and I did not see this coming. This guy is playing like a poor man's Jokic, and that is not to say that he is anywhere near on the level of Jokic, of course, but he is playing that mini version where he stretches out the floor, and he does a really great job too of being able to read what a defensive player is going to do. He knows how to use his 3-point ability, or his 3-point shot making ability, to fake a defender out, drive, and then find an open player. So yeah, he's a little bit questionable on the defensive end, but what he brings to the Warriors offense is just exactly what the Warriors needed. They needed a big man to stretch the floor and then continue to make plays for Steph and the rest of the shooters around the team. And Bielitsa is actually going to be the guy who I'm really watching for this Warriors this year. I think he's going to be a really key piece for them to be able to try to get back to the championship. If he can play at a really high level and consistently, which is the the key piece consistently, then I think, again, they're gonna have a really great shot at it. We've got Andrew Wiggins, who has gotten a lot of flack over the years, and I would say rightfully so, but he's really found his niche on this Warriors team. I mean, he is playing great defensively, which is what we assumed that he would have been doing coming out of college, because he's got that elite length and athleticism. He's an improved three-point shooter. You brought back Iggy, who again can do the same exact thing. Now his offensive ability is going to be a lot more questionable than it used to be, but we know exactly what he's going to bring on the defensive end. And so when you look at this Warriors team, again, we look at him overall just like how we did with the Nuggets, and what I see is 1, incredible three-point shooting, 2, great ball movement, 3, they're really good defensive teams. Well, the Nuggets are okay, I guess, but the Warriors are a great defensive team. And then we also have flexibility in terms of their rotations and what they can do to teams' offense on the defensive end. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for me. In my opinion, it's gotta be the Warriors or Nuggets that are coming out if it's not the Lakers. But I want you guys to go down into the comment section. Let me know who you think is gonna be coming out of the Western Conference if it's not the Lakers. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.